Good morning, Westside. This is Caroline Nixon, your Zoom host this morning. This is your gentle reminder that you can edit your Zoom name to be the name you go by so that everyone will know who you are and your preferred pronoun. Sharing our pronouns is one way that we show that we are a welcoming congregation. If you would like the host to change your name for you, just type it in the chat what you would like your name and pronoun to read, and we can do that for you. Thank you for your hospitality this morning.
Good morning. Welcome to worship with the community of Westside Unitarian Universalist Church, where compassion leads us to work for justice and equality. My name is Diane Jones, and I am your worship leader this morning. I'm glad you're joining us for the service today. It is our hope that this gathering will renew your sense of community and connection and nourish your heart, mind, and spirit. Special thanks to all our service participants today, especially our audio-visual team volunteers, host Caroline Nixon, and co-hosts Christina Sellers and Cindy Fountain. Also, a big thank you to all the other Westside volunteers who make this service possible. Our pastoral care representative today, Melissa Trask, our meditation leader, Diane Austin, Social Justice Chair, Cindy Fountain, as well as our invaluable staff, our permanent Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Nikki Kennedy, and pianist, Dr. Yuki Kumamoto. At Westside, we're raising the next generation of Unitarian Universalists, and we want them to know that they are an important part of our community. Several years ago, we chose to be radically inclusive and to adopt a multi-generational worship where our services include all family members. So welcome to all children and youth of all ages. Westside is a community of many beliefs, genders, and sexualities. A community of diverse cultural, racial, and class backgrounds. A community of varied abilities and gifts. Some here find inspiration in the great books, others in the great outdoors, and others still in great conversation. Whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this community. If you're so moved, you can try out the chat feature on Zoom by typing in some words of welcome to both members and visitors who are joining us this morning. On behalf of this church community, I say to all, welcome. I'm delighted this morning to introduce our speaker today, the Reverend Dr. Russell Elleven. Russell and Gail Elleven became members of Westside Unitarian Universalist Church in 1999. Russell is the quintessential lifelong learner, having earned 5 degrees thus far: a BA, 2 masters, and 2 doctorates. His latest being a Doctor of Ministry with a pastoral care emphasis from UU Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago. Russell accepted a part-time minister position at Westside and was eventually called full-time. During his 8 years at Westside, he helped our church grow tremendously with his Sunday morning reflections that were infused with plenty of insight, research, and humor, making him very popular. Dick Trice once told me that of the many UU ministers he had listened to over the years, Russell was the finest. Now that is saying something. When Gail was offered an incredible opportunity with her career that required a relocation to Illinois, we all had to say, congratulations, best of luck, and we'll miss you. He is our Minister Emeritus, making him a forever friend. He and Gail reside happily in Illinois with their fur baby, Maisie. Reverend Russell is a grief recovery specialist and currently serves as chaplain for the UU Animal Ministry. Now, I invite you to take a deep breath and from wherever you are, settle into this sacred space that we create and let us worship together as we listen to this morning's prelude performed by our pianist, Dr. Yuki Kumamoto. Because August 4th is Barack Obama Day, the opening words are a poem that he read at his maternal grandmother's memorial service at First Unitarian Church of Honolulu in December of 2008. The poem is by UU minister Reverend Raymond John Bond. We belong to the eternal here and now. We did not begin when we were born. Our origin goes back to the beginningless beginning of all things. Our biography is the story of earth and sun and humankind. Do we end when we die? Something eternal is revealed in everything. Our brains and bodies are mosaics of the same unknown that underlies the light, the star.
Diane, you got muted.
I'll start from the beginning. We belong to the eternal here and now. We did not begin when we were born. Our origin goes back to the beginningless beginning of all things. Our biography is the story of earth and sun and humankind. Do we end when we die? Something eternal is revealed in everything. Our brains and bodies are mosaics of the same unknown that underlies the light, the star, the sea. We do not know what it is, but we live in it, and we call it life. We belong to the oneness from which we have emerged. Our opening hymn this morning is "We Would Be One," performed by the Church of the Larger Fellowship.
To that I call sovereign We light this chalice to celebrate the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to reaffirm the historic pledge of liberal religion, to seek that justice which transcends mere legality and moves toward the resolution of true equality, and to share that love which is ultimately beyond even our cherished reason, that love which unites us.
There is always a light when we are ready to see it. There is always a light when we are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night, to climb this hill. Together we will. There is always a light in the dark. We are ready to see it. There is always a light in the dark. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Together we will. There is always a light. There is always a light. We are ready to see it. There is always a light. There is always a light. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a gift. Together we will. There is always light. There is always dark. There is always dark. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be a climb this hill. Together we will. There is always shine. There is always shine. There is always shine. There is always shine. Be the light.
Please join me in reciting our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another.
Good morning, community of Westside. I am so glad to be here with you guys today. My name is Nikki Kennedy, and today I get to greet you as the DLRE, the Director of Lifespan Religious Education, no longer the interim. I'm so incredibly excited and thankful for the opportunities and the adventures ahead. Today, in Time for All Ages, and with August being a month when everybody starts back to school, I wanted to take time to celebrate each of you, to celebrate the potential within each of us to follow our dreams and to make room for our own paths. And I found a story that does just this. It's a story that President Obama actually wrote as a letter to his two kiddos. And by the way, August 4th happens to also be Barack Obama Day. So let's listen to these words that offer great encouragement. Barack Obama's Of Thee I Sing, a letter to my daughters. Have I told you lately how wonderful you are? How the sound of your feet running from afar brings dancing rhythms to my day? How you laugh and sunshine spills into the room? Have I told you that you're a creative? A woman named Georgia O'Keeffe moved to the desert and painted petals, bone, and bark. She helped us see big beauty in what is small, the hardness of stone and the softness of a feather. Have I told you lately that you are smart? That you braid great ideas with imagination? A man named Albert Einstein turned pictures and his mind into great advances in science, changing the world with energy and light. Have I told you lately that you are brave? A man named Jackie Robinson played baseball and showed us all how to turn fear to respect and respect to love. He swung his bat with the grace and strength of a lion and gave brave dreams to other dreamers. Have I told you that you're a healer? Sitting Bull was a Sioux medicine man who healed broken hearts and broken promises. It is fine that we are different, he said. For peace, it is not necessary for eagles to be crows. Though he was put in prison, his spirit soared free on the plains, and his wisdom touched the generations. Have I told you that you have your own song? A woman named Billie Holiday wore a gardenia in her hair and sang beautiful blues to the world. Her voice, full of sadness and joy, made people feel deeply to add their melodies to the chorus. Have I told you that you are strong? A woman named Helen Keller fought her way through long, silent darkness. Though she could not hear or see, she taught us to look and listen to each other. Never waiting for life to get easier, she gave others courage to face their challenges. Have I told you lately how important it is to honor others' sacrifices? A woman named Maya Lin designed the Vietnam Veterans Memorial to remember those who gave their lives in the war, and the Civil Rights Memorial to thank the many who fought for equality. Public spaces should be filled with art, she thought, so that we can walk amidst it, recalling the past and inspired to fix the future. Have I told you that you are kind? A woman named James Adams fed the poor and helped them find jobs. She opened doors and gave people hope. She taught adults and invited children to play and laugh and let their spirits grow wide. Have I told you lately that you don't give up? When violence erupted in our nation, a man named Martin Luther King Jr. taught us unyielding compassion. He gave us a dream that all races and creeds would walk hand in hand. He marched and he prayed, and one at a time, he opened hearts and saw the birth of his dream in each of us. Have I told you lately that you're an explorer? A man named Neil Armstrong was the first to walk on the moon. He watched the world from way up high, and we watched his lunar landing leaps, which made us brave enough to take our own big, bold strides. Have I told you that you're inspiring? A man named Cesar Chavez showed farm workers their own power when they felt they had none. The people were poor but worked hard and loved the land. Caesar picketed, prayed, and talked. The people listened to their hearts and marched for their rights. Have I told you lately that you're part of a family? A man named Abraham Lincoln knew that all of America should work together. He kept our nation one and promised freedom to enslaved sisters and brothers. This man of the people, simple and plain, asked more of our country, that we behave as kin. Have I told you to be proud to be an American? Our first president, George Washington, believed in liberty and justice for all. His barefoot soldiers crossed wintry rivers, forging ever on. He helped make an idea into a new country, strong and true, a country of principles and a country of citizens. Have I told you that America is made up of people of every kind? people of all races and religions and beliefs, people from the coastline and the mountains, people who have made bright lights shine by sharing their unique gifts and giving us the courage to lift one another up, to keep the fight, and to work to build upon all that is good in our nation. Have I told you that they are all a part of you? Have I told you that you are one of them and that you are the future? And have I told you that I love you? Just like President Obama wrote, each one is a part of you, and this community loves each of you. You aren't only the future, you are also the present. I hope you find encouragement and hope to try new things, to help make a difference, and know this community loves you. Have a good week, friends.
Thank you, Nikki. And now, Melissa Trask, a member of our pastoral care team, will share our joys and concerns.
Good morning. We are grateful you are here with us for this service. It is that time in our service when we share our joys and concerns. While we continue to meet online, anyone can submit a joy or concern by emailing the pastoral care team at westsideu.org or through the web form located at the program tab on the church's website, and then click on the care and support. As we share our joys with others, those joys are multiplied. When other hearts know our joy shines all the brighter. As we share our concerns, our community can offer its care. When other hearts know our sorrow, our burden becomes lighter. This is the time in our service when we offer witness and support for one another's journey. This week's joys and concerns received by 10 a.m. this morning include, and we have a joy from Ms. Carolyn Nixon. It says Candace Rodriguez has recovered from COVID, and Jeff, Candace, and Caroline are very appreciative of all the support from the Westside family. And even though this was just announced, I'm sure there are many of us here at Westside that are wanting to say congrats to Nikki Kennedy on her full-time DLRE role. And I want to thank you for sharing those with us. It is good to share with one another as sharing draws our community closer. Please know that our pastoral care associates are available to support you with deep listening and when needed through our InReach Fund for short-term financial support of members in need. We are here for you.
Thank you, Melissa. After Meditation on Breathing, sung by the First Unitarian Society of Denver, Diane Austin will offer us a meditation of shared compassion.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in,
breathing, when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
I invite you to join me in a time of centering. Each week here at Westside, we open our hearts to those in our community who know both joys and challenges, and to all suffering beings. I will begin with a pastoral introduction before we move into a time for silent reflection. Our Tibetan prayer bowl will sound to signal the start of the time for your own meditation, prayer, or reflection, and it will sound again at the end. This poem is written by Jennifer Williamson. Be still, my soul. Don't speak just yet. Seek into this place. Sit in your heart. Close your eyes if you must. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel the beating of your heart. When the mind is quiet, you will understand that sweet, deep awareness opens the gates to another kind of land. There's no way to hold peace in the palm of your hand. It's a mind, body, spirit state where everything holds abundance and magic, even a tiny grain of sand. Be still, my soul. Hear the wind speak and watch how the leaves on the branches blow to and fro. There can be thunder and rain, pleasure or pain, but here you are still, and that is enough. Stop, look, and listen. See how wonderful it is, but don't think just yet. For thoughts can be beautiful pathways, but they can make you forget the truth of yourself, how you were born of your own star stuff. Be still, look, and listen. Even a mind must rest to create its best. So do not worry, dear heart, head, and hands. You will have your season to work and to play, and there is time enough for all every single day. There is time to make no plans. And what of the mysteries? How to piece the puzzle together? Must you always struggle to know the unknown better? No, you must be sure. The silence you scurry away from is misunderstood. It is not nothing, it is everything, like the color white or the other side of the world at night. If you stop and see what is here to see, and if you listen only to what your ears hear, you will feel yourself, dear soul, melt into the moment, and peace will be near. Even in the middle of the night, the light of life is right here. In this space always, this space is all you could ever hold dear. Be still, old soul. Feel yourself alive right here. Stop waiting to start living. Stop time and be lived. Hear the sweet melody of your stillness and the music that it gives. May it be so, blessed be, and amen.
Thank you, Diane. Good morning, Westside. This is your social justice rep, Cindy Fountain. Westside's plate offering for August is the South Central Alliance of Churches, or SCAC. From the website, the South Central Alliance of Churches is a coalition of congregations in Fort Worth serving zip code neighborhoods 76104, 76109, and 76110. Our ministry seeks to help meet emergency or one-time needs, assisting individuals and families past a single difficult situation, such as verifiable loss or change in income, or a medical emergency. It is our hope that this will result in enough stability for them to continue to manage their lives. Westside has been a member church for more than 10 years. SCAC has been transitioning before and during the pandemic and does not have office space at this time. A new member church, Baker Chapel AME, may provide that space at the completion of renovations. In the meantime, SCAC continues to serve our neighbors virtually. Through the generosity of the member churches and individuals, we have been able to maintain rent and utility support in the range of $2,500 to $3,000 a month. This small cohort of churches is helping sustain lives in our community. Please donate as you can in support of Westside's commitment to SCAC. Thanks so much for your generosity. You can give online now through the church's giving page or by using the Give Plus app. Select the Service Project Fund, and the link will be put in the chat. You can also mail a check to the church. Thank you so much for your offering. Now enjoy the musical offering from our pianist, Yuki.
Thank you again for your generosity. Our Minister Emeritus, the Reverend Dr. Russell Elleven, is delivering his reflection, pre-recorded, but he is live with us this morning and will be available for discussion during our virtual coffee hour following the service. Now, let us turn our attention to Russell's reflection.
Hello, Westside. It's good to be with you again, and I hope all of you are doing well. Summers up here in Illinois are a little bit more habitable than it is in Texas, but it's hot everywhere and most likely will continue to heat up as we continue to do little with regard to climate change. It just seems like another thing to grieve these days. Grief is all around us right now, it seems to me, and grief is a big emotion that can turn our lives upside down. We grieve the pain that humanity inflicts on this planet. We grieve the loss of life and the illness that has come because of this pandemic. And we grieve when we lose someone unexpectedly, as I just read Westside has experienced with the death of Shelley Shivers. We grieve different things. We confront our grief in different ways. But most of us have known grief of some sort, if we have been on this planet any time at all. Well, I think some of you may know this, but my mother died right as we were really becoming aware of COVID-19 last year. She died in March in a hospital bed at Baylor All Saints on 8th Avenue there in Fort Worth. My father was there. My sisters, one local and one from Arizona, were there. Gail and I were there from Illinois. We were able to have a funeral then, but only 10 people could attend. We knew she'd been dying for a while. My mother had progressive supranuclear palsy, a disease you've not likely heard of because it is so rare. But it is a devastating disease that left my mother unable to speak, unable to move, and unable to do anything about her predicament. I was sad when she died, but honestly, I was glad that she was no longer suffering. I had grieved her death long before that day on March 23rd when her life officially came to an end. But her quality of life was very poor when her time came. It was a long, slow death, one that I'd not wish anyone would have to experience. Now, we Unitarian Universalists are sort of agnostic when it comes to questions of an afterlife. It's difficult to be certain of what comes after death. Oh, we may be sure individually, but there is no official statement from the Unitarian Universalist Association that says anything like, this is what we UUs believe about an afterlife. Now, many of us believe that when we die, all is done. There is no more. It all ends when we breathe our last. Others of us may believe there is something beyond this life, something we do not know or understand, but that something continues on beyond this earthly existence, something that may be strange and intangible, but something nonetheless. And others of us may believe we will be reunited in death with the Creator and all of our loved ones in a place that is different, but still welcoming of our new state of being. When my mother was dying, I did what I know how to do. I was in Illinois, she in Texas, and given her situation and disease, there was little I could physically do except support my father at a distance as he cared for her. He was wonderful throughout the entire ordeal. My mother could not have had better care than what my father gave. It was beautiful and inspiring to watch. But I did what I do best. I read. I read about death and dying. I read about my mother's disease. I read about forgiveness. I read about saying goodbye and what a good death might look like. I even took an online class through the University of Vermont's Medical School to earn a professional certificate as an end-of-life doula. Much like a birth doula accompanies a woman through the process of birth, an end-of-life doula companions an individual through the process of dying. All of this helped as I dealt with my mother's impending death. Now, as some of you may remember, I'm an emotional person, but when there's a crisis, I tend to think more than emote, for better or worse. And all of this reading and studying about something we will all experience, but have little desire to actually think or talk about, helped me. It prepared me for the physical things that would come, the emotional things I might experience, and the void I might have surrounding the death of my mother. As I read about death and dying, I became aware of those who, in the throes of their own end, would see dead relatives, would converse with them, and afterward, they'd often be ready and unafraid to move on from this life to whatever lies beyond. There is a sweet little book I read titled Final Gifts, Understanding the Special Awareness, Needs, and Communications of the Dying, written by two long-tenured hospice nurses. In general, they wrote about how often dying people have some sort of vision or visitation, most often by relatives who have predeceased them. These visions were not frightening to the patient in any way. The experience was most often comforting and often seen as some sort of welcoming into the next life. They were often more at ease and less afraid of dying. I found very interesting the remarks of a psychiatrist I was reading who said something like, "These dying people are having very real and comforting conversations. You can actually interact with them as the experience occurs." On the other hand, someone who is schizophrenic, for instance, might see dead people, but most often become extremely distraught about their experience. That is very different from these people so near their end who were reassured and comforted, even though they would soon succumb to death. Now, these are not considered near-death experiences per se, but these were the stories that sort of prepared me to read more about the classical near-death experience. Interestingly, one of the foremost researchers in near-death experiences happens to be a former colleague of mine while on faculty at the University of North Texas in Denton. Dr. Janice Holden, now retired, was on the counseling faculty and continues to have a national reputation around near-death experiences. Her edited book, The Handbook of Near-Death Experiences, examines 30 years of investigating these events through the social science literature. If you read any of the social science literature, not the popular literature, but the social science literature, you will certainly come across Dr. Holden's work. Now, these are some of the hallmarks of a classic near-death experience. Many of the components are likely things you're already familiar with. The classical experience often involves something akin to traveling down a dark tunnel, a bright, inviting light, a review of the dying person's life, and then a call back to this life, many times to fulfill some sort of mission. People were changed by these experiences. They did not die, and they often had a sense of meaning and purpose that was not there before. Their ideas about spirituality changed. They often moved away from organized religion into a personal theology of spirit. Their fear of death was greatly diminished. At first, I thought these visions to be that of a mind that was tired and that perhaps brain synapses were firing in weird ways, and what they were seeing was simply what they wanted to see, what they were conditioned to see because of their upbringing and background. And that very well may be the case. But whatever I may think of these experiences, it would not matter at all to the person having the near-death experience, because for them, this experience was as real, or in some ways more real, than anything they'd ever experienced before. Most of the time they were calm, even serene, and did not in the least of ways fear what they had encountered. They often spoke of going home or feeling drawn toward benevolence and being disappointed about having to return when told it's not yet their time. Now, there are also distressing near-death experiences. The individual would often feel fear because they had led a life they were not proud of. Their life review was a painful reminder of a life lived poorly, or perhaps they did not believe they deserved the benevolent light or kindness of any sort. But the vast majority of time, whether the near-death experience was pleasurable or distressing, their remaining time on earth was viewed through a very different lens. Their harsh attitudes were softened. Their feelings of love expanded. Their desire to serve others in some capacity heightened. Their idea that they needed to make a positive difference in the world increased. And these new attitudes, these profound behavioral and ideological changes, is what has become most interesting to me. Not whether these near-death experiences are real or not. It was how people who have had these near-death experiences are often profoundly changed after their ordeal. I mentioned how these people often have a sense of meaning and purpose. Their change is sometimes so deep that it causes difficulty in a couple's marriage, leading to divorce. Focus on material things and striving to get ahead become much less of a priority for these people. And the partner who has not had this type of experience can find this difficult to relate to or comprehend. We human beings do not often have experiences that create such bold change. So while I'm not exactly sure what creates a near-death experience, I do believe the experience is profound. It is life-altering. And it is also, in my opinion, a little bit mysterious. That's okay, I think. Our faith allows the wiggle room of uncertainty. In fact, it is sort of sanctified in our fourth principle of free and responsible search for truth and meaning. My search may lead in one direction and yours in another, but we honor each other's search. Thinking collectively about death is not something we do very well in our congregations, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think we are immune to the difficulties that most people experience when trying to think or learn about death, an experience that we will all, to the best of my knowledge, have to deal with one day. None of us will get out of here alive. It is a universal experience, and yet we often believe If we do not think about it, if we do not talk about it, it will not happen. But there are a number of things I think we could do differently and better within our UU communities when it comes to death education. We could do things individually, but my hope is that we begin to think and talk about death as a community. So individually, we could read a book. And I always try to get this in somewhere when I'm talking about death and dying. Now, I've not read everything there is about preparing for the end of life, but I do currently recommend that everyone I know read Katie Butler's book, The Art of Dying Well, A Practical Guide to a Good End of Life. If you are one of the 100% of people who will die, I think you'll find this book helpful. If you're part of a book club, suggest reading this book or another about death you found helpful. Individually, we might attend a death cafe. Have you heard about these? These are groups that simply get together and talk about death for an hour or so each month. There is no agenda. No one is trying to sell anything. It is simply talk about death. What people fear, questions they have, ideas they may struggle with. Just talking about death with others is helpful. Now, collectively, a congregation might host a death cafe in person or online. Collectively, a congregation could host seminars or webinars for their congregation. Sessions on wills and estates, sessions about advanced care planning are helpful, sessions about green burial. You also have a very strong chapter of the Funeral Consumers Alliance in North Texas. Their speakers are very informative. A wonderful program that could be done within a congregation is to become involved in the Conversation Project, where individuals and communities can create a strategic plan of how to address these issues and provide methods of how to begin these difficult conversations. They have a program for churches. And while I often wonder how traditional faith programs might do in UU congregations, the Faith Community Outreach for the Conversation Project is led by a Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Rosemary Lloyd. And in my dream world of death education, we could form a congregational or a geographical group alliance with other UU congregations that would accompany one of our members who was dying through their final acts on earth. No one should die alone. Our Jewish friends have been caring for their dead in an intimate and loving way for a long, long time. There is a great deal we could learn from them. And so, yes, I do wish we talked about death in a positive way within our Unitarian Universalist communities. We strive to discuss so many difficult things as a faith tradition, but we do not talk much about death and the end of life. Like so many others, we do our best to dodge the inevitability of death, not talking about it the way we do so many important issues. Now, I know Westside has a lot to deal with right now. I imagine there is little energy to begin something new, like what I've suggested at this time. But when the dust has settled and Westside is once again at full capacity, as I know you will be, I hope you'll talk more about death as a community. Find ways to support one another, whatever that may look like, whether using suggestions I've made today or something better you might find. Supporting congregational members as they die is, in my opinion, what a religious community should do. It would be a vital, loving ministry that supports our members when they need it most in preparing for whatever they believe comes next. I wish you all peace and blessings, and I look forward to talking with any Westsiders who care to talk after the service.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about our closing hymn this morning. It's a UU favorite, Let It Be a Dance. This performance is by the writer of this tune, Rick Maston. He is now deceased, but this is a performance we found of him singing to young people. And I'd just like to say that Myrtle McMahon shared with me that she has met him. She was fortunate enough to meet him. And the next time you see Myrtle, you might ask her to tell you the story. I'm sure she'd love to. So now let's all hopefully enjoy this.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. In case some of you kids don't know it, we'll do it one more time. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance, let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. And let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, fill the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed, and let it be a dance, let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance, everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend, and like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. Time for joy, time to cry. So take it as it passes by, and let it be a dance, let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. The morning star comes out at night. Without the dark, there could be no light. And if nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. So let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Let the sun shine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. Round and round we go again. So let it be a dance, let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance once more for the mountains. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance we do. Kid concert over. Thank you. Thank you.
I think that's just precious. All right. Our closing words are from the Reverend Dr. Our closing words are from the Reverend Dr. Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving.
What up, baby? Oh, yo pensé.
Join me in the congregational closing as we extinguish our chalices. Let us go in peace, believe in peace, and create peace in our lives and in the world. May it be.